Let's go over some of the themes in the Odyssey. There are a lot of them, and they're great for understanding the characters and plot. First is hubris, which is a fancy way of saying arrogance or pride. A lot of the characters in the book, especially Odysseus, are guilty of this, and they always pay for it. Particularly when Odysseus yells out to the Cyclops Polyphemus after he blinds him, "If anyone asks, tell them it was Odysseus of Ithaca who blinded you." Things like this drive the action of the book. Temptation is another big theme here. From hearing the song of the sirens to staying away from Helios's cattle, many of the characters test their mettle, their strength, and the goodness in their hearts by being tempted and surviving it. Homecoming is a central purpose of the book itself. Not only is it Odysseus' journey home, but it's about returning home as much himself as he can be, a virtuous, strong person reuniting his family. After all, what is home if when you come back, it's completely different? We actually learn about a worst case scenario with this when Agamemnon talks about the betrayal from his family when he eventually had his homecoming. Hospitality is perhaps one of the most unique ways character and plot development happen all throughout the book. Based on the kindness of strangers, not just to gods and characters in disguises, but to each other just in general, we learn about motives and we learn about backstory, so much of which moves the plot in the right direction throughout time in this book. Deception comes up an awful lot in the Odyssey. Now you may say, well, deception, that's lying, that's bad. Not necessarily. The gods walk among the mortals in disguises all the time, and the characters themselves take on disguises to learn about each other's virtue, to hear about their backstories, and to determine whether or not they can trust them. By later in the book, Odysseus is fully caught up in deception mode, taking on disguises and lying to his own loved ones to hear about what they've been doing since he's been gone, and to decide whether or not he still thinks they're great or that they've come along on the right path like he has. Fate is probably the overarching theme that links everything together in the book, that the gods are watching out for us and that they create paths to glory, to destiny, and towards the right direction. However, people, mortals, have to meet that path. They have to make the right choices, otherwise they'll fall victim to all kinds of terrible circumstances. Justice is that key principle that all of the characters and gods operate under. In fact, without justice, none of this book would take place at all. The gods need justice to happen so that they can feel appeased and so the characters can go about their everyday lives. In fact, the book doesn't just end with Odysseus reuniting with Penelope and his family. He has to go put an oar far inland to appease Poseidon. That's justice, and that is going to tell Poseidon he's going to stay away from the water. If justice is that principle that guides the action in the book, then vengeance is the result of it. Not only is Odysseus on a quest for vengeance against those who have wronged him and his family, but the gods take out their vengeance on Odysseus and those who commit that hubris all throughout the book, whether it's eating cattle, or whether it's blinding the Cyclops Polyphemus, or at the end of the book, the bloody slaughter of all those suitors. Odysseus is symbolized not just through the eagles, but throughout the book as a strong military presence and force who will come back and take what's rightfully his and dispel all those who infringed on it. Vengeance is that result that ties up loose ends.